Calvin, that's not the only issue that we have in both our country and your country. There's a lot of, sadly, illegal migrants who are flooding into our countries. And with that comes sexual assault that most people don't want to talk about. And they tend to suppress the facts. There was just recently a story that I wanted to get your take on, and it doesn't obviously have to do with the UK or US, but it's still relevant. In Paris, just last year, there were 97 rapes. But when you look at the statistics, according to the police over there, 70% of those solved rapes were actually done by foreigners. And the data is just horrifying. Only 36 of those 97 were arrested. And ultimately, 18 of them were foreign nationals. And again, folks, that's a rise of 2% of rapes in the streets of Paris for just, if you look back at 2022 compared to 2023, that, and if you're going to do the math, that's one rape every 3 days in Paris in the streets alone. We are dealing with people that don't want to discuss the cold facts about these issues, about how we are putting Americans at risk, Brits at risk, and sadly, the people who are just looking to tour Paris and look around and enjoy the scenery, we're not allowed to talk about it. What's your reaction to just the level of suppression about these facts that we're putting people at risk when we don't fight back and defend our country? We allow unknown people to flood in.
Yeah, it's a growing problem. I haven't been to France in 4 years now. I used to go every year because I'm quite close, obviously, just hop over the pond. But it's
Mm.
been driven downhill because they opened the floodgates, and I see it on the news every week. In fact, I'm reporting on it on my show this week that another church has been burned down. Every week it seems there's another church being burned down in France. All of a sudden, they're spontaneously combusting, these churches that are hundreds of years old, older than the United States of America, for goodness sake. But suddenly now, in 2024, they're on light here, there, and everywhere. I wonder what the problem is there. It's the same problem we're facing in the UK, in that we've got mass illegal immigration as well as mass legal immigration. And what's happening is there's no integration. So we have vastly different cultures coming and not subsuming the predominant culture, which means that multiculturalism is just this hot pot of hostile, contradictory ideas and ideologies that end up in battles. And we've got foreign dramas all across. What we're seeing in Paris is the same as what we're seeing in London. The whole Gazan problem is just today's issue, but we've had it all over the last 5 to 6 years of increasing. We had Hindus and Sikhs versus Muslims, and now we've got Jews versus Muslims. That the Muslims do tend to be involved in a lot of these dramas, but it's probably because the Mohammedan faith is very different to the Christian faith, and these countries are traditionally Christian countries. And what we've heard for so long is that it's racist, it's xenophobic, it's bigoted to question the idea of all faiths not being equal, all cultures not being equal. But the truth is, not all faiths are equal, not all cultures are equal, not all ideas are equal. And if Christians believe in a universal truth, that there is one God and one true way, one way to be good, then we should tell that to the world. And if we think that an idea is not good and could be damaging to our welfare and our society, then we should be able to say that out loud. And the evidence speaks for itself. The rapes that are happening in France are happening across the UK. We've got the vast majority of young white girls being raped at the moment are by Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, these grooming gangs that come together. They do not see young British white girls in the same way as they see their fellow Mohammedans. It's a looking down upon them as a piece of meat to do with what they please. And it's been covered up in this country for decades because the local councillors and the police don't want to act because they don't want to be seen as racist. So the parliamentarians and the politicians don't want to act because they want to be seen as an ally to the Mohammedan community because they're a block vote and that vote is important. So all the way up the chain, it's been covered up, and essentially our society is leaving these poor young white girls to rot, to be raped and killed by Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, all in the face of diversity, inclusion, and equality.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because nobody wants to confront these issues. We have Tommy Robinson on the show often, and Tommy just time and time again is thrown in prison. And a lot of his documentaries are confronting those Pakistanis who are raping girls in the UK and throughout the UK. And so they don't like it, and they go to crazy extents to silence people. And Tommy's a clear example of just that. You mentioned the burning of churches, and that's something that's always gotten my interest because, well, they don't ever tell you how they burn. They just tell you that they are burning, and there's very limited follow-up that happens afterwards. One example is the Notre Dame, obviously the cathedral. You guys probably recall this taking place. Why are they allowing these great, beautiful churches to get burnt down, and nobody is willing to speak up and defend these churches and say we have a problem here, and we can't just sit here and pretend and dust it under the rug as to who is burning down these churches, because they'll tell you it's electrical issues, but again, this isn't happening at mosques. These are specifically happening at churches. So why are we seeing the suppression of evidence coming out from all of this?
Indeed, and why in 24 are we seeing so many electrical issues when we haven't seen them for what we've had electricity for a good decade, sorry, good century at this point, and all of a sudden the electric wires are frizzling and setting on fire. We all know what's causing the problem. We all know who is causing the problem. But again, the politicians need to be seen as diverse, inclusive, and equitable. And to do that, that means they can never question anything that's foreign, anything that's exotic, because that will paint them as racist. And so instead, it's easier to let the churches burn. In fact, quite a lot of these politicians do not care that the churches are burning because they are anti-Christian anyway. So it's a double win for them. Down with the Christians, as well as getting the Mohammedan support. What we have to address here is, well, I mean, it's become evident in London, especially over the last few days since we had a mayoral election, is that there is a massive block vote. And it means that our whole politics has changed. And, I've looked into the research in this. Jewish people don't have a block vote. Christians don't have a block vote. Hindus, Sikhs don't have a block vote. All of these communities have individuals. Some of them vote for the right, some of them vote for the left, some of them are centrists, right? Across the board, except in the Mohammedan community, we see a massive block vote. That is a change in our voting demographics. And that means when the imam or the male leadership figure of that community tells the community where to vote, they all vote that way, and they have their postal votes, and they vote for the women, they vote on their behalf. And so we have this massive block vote in one way. And we've seen it in London just recently. Of course, white Brits are in a minority in London now. That is a fact from our last census. So the indigenous people of this country are no longer a majority in its own capital, and they're being outvoted by a hostile invading force. So there's no democratic way to turn the tide. So where is this going to end?
Yeah, yeah. Well, sadly, I have a feeling where it's going to end, and I really hope that's not the case, though. We covered often on the show too. Everyone's constantly here in the U.S. The focus is on the war between Gaza and Israel right now, and everyone's very critical and hyper focused on what's going on there. But there's Christians, and we covered on the show. There's Christians being slaughtered in Nigeria, and nobody seems to have an interest as to who's doing the killing. And I mean, it's been a genocide that's been going on for nearly 2 decades right now, I believe we're at, and nobody seems to care. There's a common theme here, Calvin, and sadly, the world is just looking the other way. And I fear for the UK and for the US that if we don't start speaking up, we will see, sadly, our countries just completely collapse. And I don't know if there's any hope right now for the UK if they could turn things around. Are you hopeful that they can?
I mean, to address your first point, um, Southern Sudan, Northern Nigeria, Artsakh, Armenia, China, we've got Christians being persecuted all around the world. And you are absolutely right that the West is turning a blind eye. And at the same time, we're importing people with a hostile faith and hostile ideologies. If we want to say, okay, let's be compassionate, let's address the refugee issue, then take on board these Christians who are being persecuted, who share our values and share our culture. Anyway, is there hope for the United Kingdom? I honestly don't believe there is at this point. I don't see any democratic way to turn things around. I don't think the English have that. We don't revolt. Essentially, we don't have that mentality of getting out in the streets. I don't think we'll have a civil war. People keep saying there's going to be a civil war. I don't think there will be. You know what? We got our guns taken away in 1997 when the laws changed and we weren't allowed to have handguns anymore. Also in 1997 was Tony Blair's landslide victory, and his government opened the floodgates to mass immigration. So at the exact same year that they opened the floodgates to mass immigration, which has been the downfall of this country, is the same time that they took away our guns. We have no rights, we have no guns, we have no First Amendment, we have no Second Amendment. I don't see a way to save the country. People aren't willing to stand up and fight. They'll point fingers at people like me and point fingers at people like Tommy Robinson, call us far-right bigots. Then okay, what can we do? I don't see what we could do. I think America is going to be the last stand for Western civilization. America is the last leg of Christendom that still believes in freedom. Your first two amendments are solid there in your constitution, and enough of your people are willing to stand up and fight for what they believe to be right. Therefore, I think America is where it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we tell our audience this all the time. There's nothing more important than our Constitution and making sure that our constitutional rights are upheld. Sadly, we have people who pretend to want to defend those rights and we elect them to office, but when they get there, they're cowards. But we won't give in. And I know our audience sure as heck won't either. Calvin, thank you for joining us. This was a great conversation. It's so insightful. Again, to our audience, make sure you check out his show, Fox and Father. Give it a look. I'm telling you guys, it's great. And your setup is phenomenal too. I was telling you before you jumped on with us. I love your
Thank
set.
you.
It's great. So it's a great show to watch, folks. Take a look at that. Calvin, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate your time.
Anytime. God bless you. Take care.
I want to let our audience in on a little secret. I'm saving hundreds of dollars each year after switching over both of my lines to Patriot Mobile. Yes, so now my business and personal line are with Patriot Mobile. Now, Patriot Mobile uses the same towers that you're probably already using now, except it's less expensive. So my 5G towers that I love to use my old provider, I'm still using them now. I'm just paying significantly less money to do so. And on top of it all, Patriot Mobile believes in the same things you and I believe in. They have the same morals. So they donate to causes that are like pro-life causes, veteran causes, and even the NRA. It's incredible. So I highly recommend you head over to patriotmobile.com right now, take a look at their plans and sign up. And today, if you sign up and use promo code Brianna, they're going to waive the activation fee. Yes, you heard it right. They're going to waive the activation fee. Just make sure you use promo code Brianna, Breanna. You guys, I've said it once before, so I'm going to say it again. Under the Biden regime, I've never been more worried about my financial future. I called my good friend Dr. Kirk Elliott because I wanted to come up with a plan put in place to make sure I was secure, and he came with a plan for me to invest in silver.
I'm rich.
I've got my silver. I'm feeling so much better about my future. I highly recommend you give him a call and just chat with his team, 720-605-3900. Now, you could also head over to his website if you'd like to schedule an appointment. It's kirkelliottphd.com/Brianna. And if you enjoyed that segment, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see the news before it becomes the news, you have to subscribe to our channel. And well, if you have a liberal friend that you're looking to save, make sure you share this content with them. Mother's Day is just 6 days away. And well, you guys, if you haven't gotten your either wife or your mom a gift, listen here. I've got the perfect plan for you. And it's a great, great, great deal. Okay. Give a derm. It's what I'm using these days. It's completely cleared up my skin. I'm no longer having these painful blister pimples on my face because I've gone all natural with the good ladies over at Give a Derm. It's incredible. My favorite product, of course, is their 5-step solution. It's called the Facial Edition. It comes with 5 steps that honestly only takes me about maybe 2 to 3 minutes a day to go through. That's all together. It's incredibly easy to do. It's amazing. It smells so good. Your skin instantly feels so much better, of course. And well, the lady in your life's really going to like this one. So let's just talk about this. This 5-step system, super easy to use. It's on sale right now. I've got to tell you about that because right now you're getting a sale price, but because the good ladies over at Give a Derm love, well, they're big fans of our show, obviously. They've decided to extend this offer. Not only are you going to get the sale price, but you're also going to get 10% off when you use promo code Brianna. That's Breanna. When you use that at checkout, you're going to get 10% off, but they're not stopping there. Until May 12th, you guys will actually get a free mask. Yes, this mask, this Tighten Your Assets mask, I got to tell you folks, it's $50 normally. You get it for free, which they've never done this before. It's just exclusively for Mother's Day and exclusively for our audience. So you've got to give this a shot. It's one of my favorite things that they have, honestly. So head over right now to giveaderm.com. Use the promo code Brianna. That's Breanna. And then you could also add on the promo code MOM. That's MOM to secure that free mask. And well, folks, you're not going to regret it. I'm telling you, your mom or your wife, they are going to love this. But make sure you do it right now because Mother's Day is less than 6 days away now. And well, if you're late, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So again, folks, it's giveaderm.com and make sure you use promo code Brianna to secure 10% off as well as MOM to get that free mask. It's a limited edition. They've never done this offer before. So go over there now and take full advantage of it.